Hello students, welcome back. Today we are going to discuss one more concept from sexual reproduction in flowering plants. The concept is outbreeding devices and pollinating agents. Let's see the outbreeding devices. What is meant by outbreeding devices? It is defined as the mechanisms to prevent self-pollination and promote cross-pollination to overcome the problem of inbreeding depression. It has been observed that continuous self-pollination or autogamy results in inbreeding depression and plants become weaker over the generations. So let's observe this point again. Continuous self-pollination or autogamy. So let's recollect the what is that autogamy. Pollination within a flower. That means the pollen grains of the same flower fall onto the stigma. That means there is no any genetic variation during autogamy. So as a result, when it will continue for several generations, the plant become weaker and it reduce its productivity. That condition we will call as inbreeding depression. To overcome that, we need to promote cross pollination. The main adaptations that favors cross pollination are as follows. First one, unisexuality, also known as dicliny. The male and female flowers are present on the same or different plants. Let's see that the female flowers are called as pistillate flowers. Male flowers are called staminate flowers. So both these staminate and pistillate flowers are present on the same or maybe different plants, that we will call as unisexuality. And one more thing, if male and female flowers are present on the same plant, such plants are called as monoecious. If male and female flowers are present on different plants, such plants are called as dioecious plants. Examples for this unisexuality: papaya, palm. Papaya and palm are dioecious plants. Maize and castor, these are monoecious plants. Dichogamy. In some bisexual flowers, the anthers and stigma mature at different times. And this dichogamy is of two types based on the maturity timings. First one, protogamy. The stigma mature before the maturation of anthers of the same flower. So stigma mature earlier than anthers of the same flower is called protogamy. Protandry. The anthers mature before the stigma of the same flower is called protandry. Third one, heterostyly. Presence of styles of different heights in a flower. Styles are in different heights in a flower to avoid self-pollination. The plants of the some species possess a long style but the short stamens and are known as pin-eyed. Let's see that photograph. So in this, style is long and stamens are short. The plants of some species possess short style and long stamens and are known as thumb-eyed. Let's see the photograph. So in this photograph, style is short but stamens are long. That condition is called as thumb-eyed flower. Pin-eyed flower, style is long, stamens are short. Fourth one, self-sterility. It is also known as self-incompatibility. It is a genetic mechanism that prevents self-pollen from fertilizing the ovules by inhibiting pollen grain germination or pollen tube growth in the pistil. Fifth one, hercogamy. Male or female reproductive organs themselves prove as a barrier to prevent self-pollination. The flowers show following adaptations. Hercogamy. The flowers which follow hercogamy to prevent self-pollination, they have the following adaptations. First adaptation in hercogamy flowers, the male and female reproductive organs lie at some distance from each other to avoid self-pollination. B. In some flowers, the pollen grains are held together to form pollinia, which can only be carried away by insects. And third adaptation in hercogamy flowers. In some flowers, corolla has peculiar form which act as barrier in self-pollination. Pollinating agents. Cross-pollination involves external agents for the transfer of pollen grains of one flower to the stigma of another flower. Such agents are called as pollinating agents. There are two main groups of agents. They are abiotic agents, biotic agents. So abiotic agents means agents which are belongs to non-living, and biotic agents which are belongs to living organisms. Abiotic agents. That first one, anemophily. It can defined as when flowers are pollinated by wind, the phenomena is known as anemophily. Such flowers are called as anemophilous flowers. So flowers which are pollinated by wind are called as anemophilous flowers. It is most common abiotic agent. The characteristic features of anemophilous flowers are the flowers are small and inconspicuous with long and versatile stamens. The stamens are long and hang outside the flower to aid in release of pollen grains. The stigma are large and feathery, exposed outside the flower to trap the pollen grains. Let's observe this photograph of this wind pollinated flower. The pollen grains are small, smooth, dry and relatively light in weight. Flowers are generally lack nectar. The pollen grains are produced in huge quantity due to high wastage by wind. Example, for this point, a single flower of Cannabinus sativus produces 5 lakhs pollen grains. Why this many number of pollen grains are produced by a single flower? Because the wind pollination leads to wastage of more pollen grains. That's why they can produce more number of pollen grains. Other examples for this wind pollination: coconut palm, date palm, maize, walnut, oats, grasses, and most temperate trees show wind pollination. Second abiotic pollinating agent is hydrophily. It can be defined as when the pollination takes place through the agency of water is known as hydrophily. Such flowers are called as hydrophilous flowers. Pollination by water is quite rare in flowering plants and is limited to about 30 genera, mostly monocotyledons. All aquatic plants are not hydrophilous. Some are anemophilous, means in some of the hydrophyte plants the pollination takes place by wind. Example, Myriophyllum. In some are entomophilous, means in some hydrophytes the pollination is occurs through insects. Example, lotus, water, hyacinth. So that means in these plants the flowers are present on the surface of water. As a result, the pollen grains from this flower either carried by wind, that is anemophilous, or either carried by insects, that is entomophilous, not by water. The characteristic features of hydrophilous flowers are pollen grains with high specific gravity. Pollen grains are long and ribbon-like. Flowers lack nectar. Types of hydrophily. Hydrophily is of two types. They are hypohydrophily, epihydrophily. Hypohydrophily. Plants which are pollinated inside the water is called as hypohydrophily. Example, Zostera. Epihydrophily. Plants which are pollinated outside the water is called epihydrophily. Example, Vallisneria. Pollination in Zostera. Zostera is a totally submerged marine plant. Zostera shows hypohydrophily. That means pollination occurs inside the water. The pollen grains are elongated, needle-like, and without an axine. Axine is outer wall of the pollen grain. So we already studied during structure of pollen grain. This axine is made up of a substance called sporopollenin. It is protect the pollen grain from acids, alkalines, temperature, and even no enzyme, biological enzyme degrade this sporopollenin, but it is absent in this pollen grains of Zostera. Then how it is protected? So in this Zostera, the pollen grains are surrounded by mucus layer to prevent the wetting of pollen grain. The pollen grains are carried by water, and when they reach the stigma, they coil around it and germinate within the water. Pollination in Vallisneria. Vallisneria is dioecious and submerged. Dioecious, that means the Vallisneria plant, it consists either male flower or maybe female flower. Dioecious, unisexual plant. The male flowers are extremely small, and when they detached from the spadix float on the surface of water. The female flowers remain float on long stalks onto the surface. The free floating male flowers by water current reach the female flowers and pollinate them on the surface of the water. That means it is epihydrophily. The pollination occurs on the surface of water. After pollination, the stalk of female flower coil brings the flower down and develops into a fruit under the water. Let's see the photograph. So it is Vallisneria plant with female flower and Vallisneria with a male flower. These are the male flowers. So the male flowers are separate, detached from the male plant, and they are float on the water and reaches to the female flower. And when it pollinated, then the female flower is coiled and brings to the flower down and develops into a fruit under the water. Pollination takes place on the surface, epihydrophily, but development it is within the water. Biotic agents. So the agents are living organisms, whereas previously abiotic agent, water and wind, are the non-living objects, and biotic agents, that means agents are living organisms. First one, entomophily. It is defined as when pollination is brought about by the agencies of insects. It is known as entomophily or insect pollination. Such flowers are called as entomophilous flowers. About 80% of pollination occurs by insects like moths, bees, butterflies, wasps, etc. The characteristic features of entomophilous flowers are: the flowers are generally large. The flowers have bright colored petals to attract insects. The flowers are scented and have nectar. Scented means a smell to attract the insects. The pollen grains are large and modified, may have spiny or sticky walls to get to the insects. The stigma of flowers are long, rough and sticky. Here an example, that is salvia for insect pollination, in which pollination occurs by lever or turnpike mechanism. Let's see that photograph, then we can understand. Here the salvia flower structure is like this, bilabiate structure we can say that, and it is a anther and it is a stigma. Now when we observe clearly, one insect sit onto the petal of this part, it has some weight. As a result, the upper portion will bend and touches to the body. As a result, the pollen grains present on this anther attaches to the body of insect. When it visited to the nest flower, the pollen grains which are attached onto the insect body are pollinated with the stigma. This type of mechanism is called as lever or turnpike mechanism. Ornithophily. It is defined as when flowers are pollinated by birds, the phenomena is known as ornithophily. Such flowers are called as ornithophilous flowers. The characteristic features of ornithophilous flowers are: The flowers have large amount of nectar. The corals are tubular or funnel shaped to the enable birds to sip the nectar. Corals nothing but petals. Strong colors of petals like red, yellow and blue attract birds from a long distance. Examples for the ornithophily: red silk cotton, Erythrina, Bignonia, agave. The photograph is like this. So here the red colored petals or corolla, they are tubular or funnel shaped that facilitate the bird to sip the nectar easily. While sipping, the pollen grains are touched to their beak. Third one, Chiropterophily. It can defined as when flowers are pollinated by bats, the phenomena is known as Chiropterophily. Such flowers are called as Chiropterophilous flowers. The characteristic feature of Chiropterophilous flowers: the flowers are bloom at night because bats are nocturnal. Flowers are large and dull or pale in color. Flowers have more nectar than ornithophilous flowers. Stamens are prominent and enormous in number. Pollen grains are produced in large quantity, and also the flowers having a fruity smell or maybe ferment smell. Example: Adansonia anthocephalus. Here it is the photograph of the Chiropterophilous flowers. Flowers which are pollinated by bat. They are very dull in color. Fourth one, Malacophilic. Pollination by snails is called malacophily. Such flowers are called as malacophilous flowers. Example: chrysanthemum. It is terrestrial, and lemna. It is hydrophyte, aquatic. Fifth one, Ophiophily. Pollination by snakes is called Ophiophily. Such flowers are called Ophiophilous flowers. Example: Xanthalum, and commonly called as Chandan. Thank you. We can discuss one more concept in the next part.